and thank you so much for joining today. So, in this video, we are going to talk about episode Canada and please, to those who intend to migrate to Canada in 2026, this is going to be a very important video for you. Now, I want to emphasize again on this, right? If you are planning to move to Canada, and let's assume that, or to those who are still hoping, because we do have some few people here who are still hoping to migrate to Canada in 2026. Some applied last year. But if by the time you watch this video and your application has been in progress for more than 10 months, you've been waiting for IRCC to approve your application, I will advise you to quietly just forget about Canada if your application has been pending for 10 months or more. Yeah. Now, you also need to understand, I've said it in other videos, that Canada has dropped, like the approval rates for Canada is now below 40%, maybe 35, maybe 30. So you should know before you apply. It's not because you have a lot of money, it is about what you are telling IRCC. So note that this thing that most of you will be like, oh, Milton, I have 80 million, I have 50 million, I have 70 million. Why was my application rejected? It doesn't work for Canada that way. So you shouldn't forget. But I'm going to give you some points. If you actually want to jackpot to Canada in 2026, you should put these things into consideration. Okay. Now, the first one I'm going to talk about is the issue of proof of funds. Well, I will be talking about this from time to time to explain detailedly to you on how to go about your proof of funds. But I want to tell you, if your plan is to jackpot to Canada by September this year, or October, or maybe May, then you should have already been building your bank statement. You should already know who is going to sponsor you. You should already know what you are going to be using to show the source of income. It is very important because you shouldn't go and apply for a visa in the long run. Remember, what you are applying for on the IRCC portal is a Canada study visa. Then I think they are going to give you a study permit when you reach Canada. Then after that, you will study. Then after your study program, you can now transition to post-graduation work permit and equally permanent residency and then citizenship. It is a transition. Okay, so if you do not follow this transition, you cannot get the next. Now, I also want you to understand that it is important for you to know the school you want to study in and the program you want to study in and the tuition fee you are going to be paying depending on the duration of the program. Now, I'm saying this so that at the end of the day, you don't reach Canada with a study visa and go back to ask for Aduro. It is somehow complicated at the end of the day, so that you don't say, oh, nobody told you. Another thing is, you should also remember that if you really want to move to Canada this year, 2026, you should ask yourself, which program am I applying for? Now, the program you are going to apply for would determine if you are going to stay in Canada for long or you are equally going to get the study visa or the study permit. Let's put it this way. Now, why did I say this? Canada recently, like I said, I did a post today on my FB platform and I said, make IRCC your friend. And somebody came to that post and asked me, Milton, what do you mean by make IRCC your friend? And I told him, check IRCC every day. So if your plan is to move to Canada, which I will not advise you to put your eggs only on Canada fully, okay, if you want to move to Canada, okay, do Canada application, also do application to Germany, also do application to Sweden, also do application to Switzerland, also do in the Netherlands, also do in Australia if you can afford, because it's all about affordability now. But if you can't afford, go for what you can afford. I keep saying it. Here we are going to be talking only about Canada, UK, Japan, South Korea, other places, China, other countries, the UK. But when it comes to Europe in particular, you would go to my other channel. Now, the reason why I say you should put your program into consideration is, if you go to IRCC, if you've been doing research, you will notice that Canada said, I always refer to Canada as IRCC. And guys, when somebody sends a link to you, check if that link is actually the link to IRCC, because so many people do not even know. somebody sent a link to me which was connected to someone's website, and he was saying that this person is asking him to pay 700 euros before they can evaluate his documents, then do application before he will now pay some other millions. I just told him, look, this thing is fake, avoid it. And I left, because when you bring things to me like that, I'll just refer you to the original site, and I cannot refer you to anywhere, any person. No. So put these things into consideration. Now, remember, I was talking about proof of funds. You need to also know that with Canada, you can only use people closer to you to apply for Canada visa. If you are not using your proof of your own bank statement, of course, it wouldn't make sense if you do not have a job, you do not have a business, and you want to use your own bank statement. How are you going to prove it? So, if you're using your father, your mother, your brother, your sister, that's your siblings, right? To an extent, your uncle, it is good. It makes sense, because at the end of the day, you can back it up with birth certificate to prove relationship. You come and you say, oh, Milton, I want to use my friend. You have to also ask yourself, okay, if you want to use your friend and the visa officer, remember, visa officers are psychologists here. Okay, they think critically. They don't think like me and you with emotions. No, they are trained personnel. Now, they will be like, okay, if you use your friend to sponsor your trip to Canada, what if after maybe 1 year of living in Canada, then your friend suddenly runs out of money and refuses not to sponsor you again? What are you going to do with your program? This is what will be running in the visa officer's head. Immediately they see that you are using a friend. And equally, I've said many times that using a company is not the best idea, because a company can collapse at any point in time, especially if it's not a big company, a company known worldwide. Remember, you coming from this continent already tells the visa officer that, oh, there is somebody here who is applying to Canada with a deficiency. But I'm not saying that they will not give you a visa. They will give, but visa rate, maybe out of 100 people, maybe 25 or 30 people can get the visa. Yes, this is facts. I'm telling you, I know so many people who got rejected, and now you can't move to the US. US isn't accepting international students now on study visa. So this is where we are. We are cooked. So you need to be strategic this year. Now, we are talked about, I will be bringing more videos about this proof of funds thing, because somebody was equally telling me, Milton, paying my tuition fee, will I be guaranteed a visa? No, bro. You cannot be guaranteed a visa. You still need to show that you have to leave Canada after your study program. Of course, we understand that you are not going to leave, but you still need to show that, right? Somebody was equally saying, Milton, my sister resides in the US and I also have a brother in Canada. Instead, it's going to complicate you, because this person was like, oh, because I have these people there, if I show their proof of funds, they will believe me more. No, bro. It will rather complicate you more, because they will be like, oh, if you have two family members over there, if you reach that place, you might not even go to school, and before they know, you might even remain in Canada, and they will now be looking at, are your documents for how do they call it, home ties? Home ties are things that you need to show that you will come back. Are they solid? So you see, when you even instead have families there, it is a big problem for you. You have to show and show and show and prove beyond reasonable doubt. So you have to be careful. Now, another thing you need to understand is that ties to your home country, which I started talking about, is very important. Now, what are some of the things that you need to put in place? Maybe you were working and you want to go for studies. Do you have a company document or a document from your company to prove that you just want to study and come back and maybe continue with your work, or maybe get a bigger position, or maybe teach people with the knowledge you studied in Canada, or with what you are going to gather in Canada? Do you have a document like that? And also, do you have responsibilities home? Are you taking care? Do you have properties, right? Do you have children? These are the responsibility. Do you have a wife? And how do you back this? Of course, birth certificate, then marriage certificate, and documents, property documents as well. So you need to structure these things in order. These are some of the things that will help you to tell the visa officer that, okay, this person has some sort of properties, and we do not think that this person can stay in Canada after their study program. But if you go there and you start showing the visa officer that you have a job, and they look at your pay slips, and your pay slip shows that you are being paid 7,500k, maybe 200k, they will just look at you like, 200K, this person cannot come back after they finish their study program. So in this case, you cannot just use your work documents to back up your home ties. You will now need to maybe bring in documents. If your parents are old, you are the one taking care of them, and maybe, or if you have your dad is late and you have a death certificate, and you also have property documents that were transferred to you, excellent. And these documents, I mean heavy documents, right? So you need to know this. They can now start to maybe look into your case a little bit, but you need to prove beyond reasonable doubts that you have to return. It's very important. Put this into place. Then also the program of interest. Remember, when I started this video, I said Canada is looking for people who can study what they want. Now, I think before late 2025, IRCC did some updates. Many of you don't know. That's why I keep insisting that you should always make IRCC. Take IRCC like your breakfast, your lunch, and supper in case you want to move to Canada, because things can change. You can check something today, and before you know, by June, they have put something else there, right? So, program of interest is very important. Canada have said before that they are only interested in people who are coming for programs in maybe the health area, the French area, people who are coming for vocational training, people who are coming for agriculture, transport, and I think STEM. STEM is science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. So if you are going to study maybe business courses, maybe you are going to study resource management, it doesn't worth it in Canada anymore, right? So do you expect them to give you post-graduation work permits? They will not, because right now they have adjusted the list of maybe who is going to get post-graduation work permits, and also if you study the course. And in fact, it's not even advisable. That's why I said before you apply now, check the course first. Be sure that after studies you can get post-graduation work permit with that particular course. It is important. So those of you giving your applications to people doing Canada for you, make sure you inform them immediately on what you want, and make sure you are aware of what they are doing. So don't go and give your application to somebody before you know they start treating you like X, Y, Z, like Botmas. Then you run back to Milton. Milton cannot do anything. I can only advise. Then another thing you need to know, apart of program of interest and proof of funds and home ties, you also need to put the statement of purpose into consideration. Now, there are 5 key things you have to address on that document. 1, why did you choose that university? Before I proceed, remember, I have said many times that Canada now, they are encouraging people to apply to universities, state universities, and degree programs. Maybe college programs like diplomas, post diploma, certificate courses. They are somehow still good, but right now, if you really want to get a smooth path, I know people in Canada who are also struggling. See, no place is easy, guys. I'm telling you, I have a friend in Canada, right? We speak. No place is easy. Don't think that, oh, because you run to Canada, you are going to get it easy. No, you are still going to struggle like any other struggling immigrant, right? So you should know this. Now, why did you choose that university? You must consider this in your statement of purpose. It's very important. Then, why did you choose Canada? Very, very important. Why did you choose that particular program you want to apply, you want to study? Very, very important. Now, another thing is, what is the program going to benefit you when you finish the program in Canada? This is where you link it now to that your home ties, right? I think these are some of the things that you need to put into consideration. And when you are saying why you choose Canada and why you choose the university, you also need to be backing it up with why you did not choose the UK or US or Australia, and why you didn't do maybe artificial intelligence, why you decided to do nursing. Put this in order and plan well. Do research. Like I said, IRCC is there. Somebody was telling me, oh, proof of funds to study in Canada is not up to 22,000 euros. When I asked them, do you actually know the living cost according to IRCC to study is almost 23,000 euros? They were like, what is living cost? Imagine you want to study abroad and you do not know what living cost is. It is not proper. So you need to put all these things together, then plan yourself well. You also need to understand, filling your application is something else. Saying the truth is something else. Now, if you've been rejected a visa before, maybe in Europe or Canada, there is a spot like that on your application. Put in the truth. In fact, do not lie. Now, if you are using fake documents, you are already causing problems to yourself. Visa rate is only 30% on 100. Using fake documents, again, know that you are digging your own, I don't want to mention. So if you are banned, you cannot blame anybody. You cannot, in 2026, we shouldn't be telling you of the importance of original documents. Then, if you have a family in Canada, it's going to be tricky. You have to convince IRCC. Why convincing them using your statement of purpose that you will return back home? Let them also understand that you have a family. This family also contributed part of your proof of funds, so that when you study your program, once your program is done, you can now come back home. But let them understand that they gifted you. Okay, you are not paying back. It is very important. Now you are acknowledging that you have a family, right? Don't let them find out by themselves, because of course they will find out. That one is for sure. So I think these are some tips. I will be dropping more videos on Canada, more on Australia, New Zealand, UK, South Korea, and Japan. Also remember that I said going to Asia, you would not be able to get PR and citizenship probably in the future. Please do your due diligence, do your research again. And if you want to talk to me one-on-one, there is a link in the video description box. Thank you so much. We meet again